I want to show you more weapons in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that will be totally worth it to get. And you can actually already find them pretty early if you know where to look, and sometimes they are tied to the main story. We've of course already discussed some weapons on the channel, but I want to highlight more in action, show you some awesome combinations you can do, and way more. So if you like that, then a like on the video would really help me out. And let's go. Yes, you can still enter my weekly Helix credit pack giveaway for 2,300 Helix credits, so you can buy one of the armor sets without spending money yourself. Click the link in the pinned comment for a chance to win, and be sure you are a subscriber of the channel before you enter, and good luck. I showed you Fafnir's spear multiple times already. I actually upgraded it now to mythical and will be using it for other builds that I will show you in another video. But there are more weapons in the game that have a similar effect that triggers when 3 or more enemies are around, and one of them is Lagata's axe. Likely a nod to Lagata from the Viking TV show, you would think, right? Makes sense. And the look of this axe is actually familiar if you played Origins. It was namely a Helix item in that game, like we can even see it briefly at Redda's shop in the Origins post-launch content trailer. Well, in Valhalla you can find it by going over here on the map, so all the way to the top. But you will not have to fight anyone, so don't let the 190 power level regions scare you. You find water here, so then you want to dive, and then you will eventually get to the chest to get the weapon. And again, it looks very familiar if you played Origins, and on one hand I'm like, awesome, because I like this weapon in Origins, so cool that we have it in Valhalla as well, but on the other hand I'm like, I would have preferred a new weapon in a new game. Either way, the effect is totally new, because when surrounded by 3 or more enemies, you get extra critical damage up to 20 when surrounded by 5 enemies, which is quite a lot. So when you're then able to score a crit, this weapon will make them better. And there are multiple ways to increase your chance of critical hits, of course. I showed you the Viper bow before that you can buy at a merchant in England, but many of you pointed out that Skady's Rev is actually also really great for a critical hit build. And you find this weapon in a ladder chester over here on the map. It's in that church. You maybe already got it because you have to go here for a main story mission. The effect of this light bow triggers after hitting a weak spot of an enemy, and then you get a 15 crit chance for 10 seconds, so they can go and use this axe to get increased critical damage. Again, you'll be seeing more of this light bow in a future video where I talk about a specific armor set, but it's really a nice combination with Lagata's axe. And with the heavy dual wielding skill that, as you likely know, you find in the bear skill line, you can also rock 2 of these weapons that have the same sort of perk, so Fafnir's Fang, but there's another one, Battle Spav, that you can find in Lincolnshire over here on the map. It's a 160 level region. It is in a bandit camp, and you need a key from a big guy, so you have to take this guy out, and they can get the weapon from the chest. This two-handed axe gives you extra attack when 3 enemies are around, 10 when surrounded by 4, and 15 extra attack when surrounding by 5 enemies. So that is really nice, and again, you can combine it with another weapon with a similar perk to have both perks active at the same time. The Battle Spav is the most straightforward of the bunch because it simply increases your attack, so you do not have to do a critical hit to have the effect trigger. And you can of course see if the perk is active thanks to the icon above your health. It will be completely full when 5 enemies are around, and be a little more empty when 4 and 3 enemies are around. And when there are just 2 enemies around, the effect will stay for 10 seconds, like then you see the perk slowly go down. So these weapons are really great for if you want to just run into a camp, alert everyone, and then start killing them. And I've of course showed you the Fafnir's Fang location multiple times, but if this is the first video that you watch from me, here you find it in Norway after killing a Drangir. So go here, fight the enemy, and get the spear. The next weapon is just amazing all around, especially when you start focusing on the crit chance. This one is called Copis, and you get it at the end of the Sufsex storyline, so before you even go back to Randvi. It restores 10% health, namely on a crit, and with the daggers being super fast, you will have of course more chance to do a crit, so then you get health back in the process. And as I told you before in a previous video, having dual daggers makes the weapon even faster, as you will hit the enemies with both daggers very rapidly, and every crit with any of the melee weapons will count. So when that occurs, you will get 10% of your health back. It's really powerful, and I cannot wait to use it in like more crit focused builds. And the other dagger you now see here in the offhand, by the way, is the Untitled, that actually increases your crit chance by 10 when below the 50% health. So the combo here is that you get to low health when you have both daggers equipped, and then you will increase your crit chance, and all those crits will then heal you thanks to the Copis. So then you can get above the 50% threshold again, but then when you get hit, you will be below that, but then have the increased crit chance, so then you will heal yourself more often. So because low health in this game means below the 50% health, the Untitled is actually a pretty nice dagger to get as well, and there are way more items with the low health perk in the game, so just like Odyssey, I'm sure there will be some low health builds possible in this game. And the Untitled is, by the way, a weapon you can buy at the merchant in England, so the one in your settlement or one in the world. I also want to touch on a cool shield combination you can do in Valhalla, and this thanks to a shield that we also saw in Origins, but that is now called the Shishi Guard. And you can get it during the story arc in Oxenfordshire. It's in a castle that opens up then. It's over here on the map, so you can go here now, but then you will just not be able to reach the chest. The perk on the shield lets you drop a sleep bomb on the ground after blocking 5 times, and then you can instantly assassinate a target, giving you adrenaline back, so that's very powerful. Or you can also stomp them if that is what you prefer, but again, assassinating will be smarter for the adrenaline gains. So you just have to absorb some damage, and then at one point the perk will trigger and you got an instant free kill. And of course, with these blocks you want to watch your stamina bar, because when that's empty, enemies will be able to create an opening. And by the way, pro tip, just like with the daggers, the perks for one melee weapon also works for your other melee weapons. So in this instance, you do not have to block with the Shishi Guard shield, meaning that if you use another shield as well and block with that, then it will also count towards the block effect to trigger the sleep bomb. So now you can be this walking wall going into a camp, absorb 5 hits, and then the enemies will fall asleep, so you can easily finish them off. And there are many other shields with the blocking perk that will then also, of course, work if you combine them. So that is quite nice. One of them is, for example, the Raven Guard shield that increases speed when blocking, and that you can find over here on the map very early in the game in Leicestershire. So combining that with the Shishi Guard is really nice. Or, for example, the Spartan shield has a nice block effect too, increasing your attack. And you can find that one over here on the map in Essex. And yes, this one has a very familiar Origins look as well. But yeah, you will then be blocking, and when you trigger the sleep bomb, you also trigger the extra effect from the other weapon. So I totally think that when doing dual shield builds, you want to look at similar perks to have them trigger both. I will totally be diving more into that in future videos. For now, subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed Valhalla if you haven't already. A like on the video would really help me out. Totally join the Discord to chat Valhalla with me and other people. You can find the link in the pinned comment. And you can watch another video on amazing weapons in the game by clicking on the screen. And there are a ton of other videos on the channel as well. So check them out if you haven't already. For now, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.